All right, it is 9:32, and I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Governmental Affairs and Public Information Committee on Friday, April 24th, 2026. Before we begin, please note this meeting is recorded. Welcome my colleagues and everyone joining us here in person, as well as those listening on the phone. If you would like to provide public comment at today's meeting, and if you have not done so already, please let Thomas know in the back of the room, or Justine on the call-in line. Know what items you would like to speak on today. Madam Secretary, please begin by calling the roll.
Good morning, everybody. Starting with Director Cochran is absent. Garbarino is absent. Parrish is absent. Brevitt.
Here.
Verdoni.
Here.
Vice Chair Giudice.
Here.
Chair Snyder.
Here.
And President Hill.
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum, but also in the room we have Directors Hardiman, Maston, DePeters, Parr, and we have a committee of the whole.
Yeah, we have a committee of the whole. Thank you. We'll begin with agenda item number 3, which is the state update from the District's Legislative Advocates Platinum Advisors, LLC. And Steve Wallach is here to present the reports. Steve, good to see you again.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good to see everybody again. As usual, I'll go through a wide range of issues that were at the state level, and then maybe if you have any questions, we can answer them at the end. So right now, with the state budgets, we're barreling down towards the May revise, which will be the update to the governor's budget. Revenues so far this year, for this fiscal year, have been coming in above expectations, even from the January estimates. I think right now they're about $8 to $10 billion higher. March revenues were over about $1 billion higher than expected. And April revenues so far have hit the target. April is the biggest revenue month, and exceeded it by a little bit. I think it's only maybe $500 million. So, for the short term, things look good. It's the out years that where the deficits get bigger. The governor has had meetings with both the Democratic caucuses in the Senate and the Assembly, where he said he does not want to leave his successor a budget problem. So he intends in the May revise to make significant cuts to try and address those out year deficits. So that compounds the issue of maybe the hopefulness of having some little bit amount of surplus to address funding issues now is likely going to be dashed because of the need to address those cuts. Also address the effects of H.R. 1 on the state. I think the counties have requested about $6 billion over the next 2 years to address the funding shortfall for social services and healthcare services at the county levels. So there's a lot of impacts we're facing right now. One of them is in the Cap and Invest program. Last year they reauthorized the Cap and Invest program to extend it to 2045. They created a new expenditure plan for how those funds will be allocated. And for transit operators, it's now like a 3-tier system. So there's money that goes off the top. There's high-speed rail and legislative priorities. And then tier 3 includes like the low carbon transit operation program, TIRSIP, a lot of other and housing programs. That was total expenditure plan that they adopted last year. Total is about $4.2 billion. Department of Finance forecasts the auction revenues for the coming fiscal year would only generate about $3.8 billion. So with that shortfall, the way the bill was written, tier 3 gets proportionally reduced. So everything gets proportionally cuts. So there's going to be cuts to the LC top TIRSIP revenue going forward. There is a possibility they could backfill it. In the way the Department of Finance has crafted this budget, there's money of about about $750 million in what they call interest income and carryover funds that they want to use for other purposes, kind of basically outside the Cap and Invest world. If they use that money to backfill the loss in the expenditure plan, they could do that. They can also fund what they call the Zero Emission Transit Capital Program, which is a commitment that has been made over the past several years to fund transit zero emission investments. The governor's budget zeroed that out. The money, there's about $230 million that was supposed to go out in the next fiscal year. It's missing in the budget. And there's money there that they could use. So that's, in the budget subcommittee hearings on both the Assembly and Senate side, members have expressed concerns about that missing funds, what the priorities are for transit, how the administration wants to address that. So that's going to be a key, negotiating issue, as they move forward. The Senate came out with their kind of budget plan. I mean, it's an outline, very little detail, so we don't really know exactly what they mean by these numbers that they put in there. but they do say about $1 billion for cap and invest, whether that's the money that's already there or if is that money that they want to use, use general fund money for CAL FIRE commitments and backfill and for other legislative priorities, which are critical because that's the main source of money at CARB for rebate programs for zero emission buses and trucks, and demonstration programs and Energy Commission for fueling and charging infrastructure. Adding to that impact is AB 1207 was one of the bills for the cap and invest expenditure plan reauthorization. It directed CARB to update the regulations for the cap and invest program. It directed them to also take into consideration affordability issues, because cap and invest is going to impact, gas prices. It could be affect electricity prices. So CARB earlier this month released revised amendments to their regulations that's moving forward, and with that they want to spend $2 to $3 billion more on other programs like the credits towards utilities for electricity and natural gas. That comes at the expense of money that's going to be available for this expenditure plan. So with an expenditure, increasing those expenditures by that $2 to $3 billion, you could wipe out all funding that would be available for Tier 3 and start eating into those upper tiers as well. So that right now the Air Resources Board is scheduled to vote on that at the end of May. I think the May 28th date. I'm hearing that most likely will be pushed back, but that is a major concern. The Calgary Transit Association is kind of leading an effort to express those concerns to the Air Resources Board about what these impacts mean, because it's not only just for zero emission vehicles. A lot of operators use those LC top monies for reduced fare programs or free student bus pass programs, and so that could eliminate those programs across the state if those amendments go forward. So that's another concern we have going into this year. On the legislative front, I listed several bills there that we're kind of mainly watching. There's a couple we have positions on. I'll just highlight a couple of those. AB 334. This is a bill that we were, I think, neutral on for most of the year last year. This is a bill that's on what they call the Senate in an active file. It's on its last step before going to the governor's office. The sponsors at the last minute made some amendments over the objections of the policy committees that approved it. So it was placed on an active file. Those amendments, I think, raise concerns with the district regarding potential liability issues over privacy implications. If there's breaches in privacy that are down the chain. Basically what this bill would do is it would allow for kind of interstate operability on toll collections and facilities. And with that, there is information that has to be shared with other states. Once it leaves this state, it could be released, and that could be with no fault of our own, but it'd be our concern and maybe our liability with that. So that bill is still sitting there. The hope is that it will be amended back to the way everyone was okay before it moves forward. But we're keeping a close eye on that. And then AB 2372 is a new bill this year that would create a process to allow for private ambulance companies to use toll facilities for free. Current law has a process in it for the CHP and for the toll operators to reach agreements to allow those vehicles to pass free of charge. This would kind of split it in two, like it'd be either or. So either you go to the CHP or you go to the locals, and kind of bypasses kind of that local say in how those agreements are reached. So that bill is kind of moving forward right now, but I think we're working with the other toll operators to maybe propose some amendments to address our concerns. And then one we're watching closely as well is SB 1187. Last year, there's SB 707 regarding the Brown Act. It made numerous changes to the Brown Act regarding remote participation. This is a bill that was introduced to kind of clean up a lot of the things in that bill. So right now, it's nothing really controversial in it yet, or I think that we care about. So we're just watching it. As that bill gets developed, we may take a position on that in the future. And finally, we are working on one kind of sponsored legislative proposal. This would be amending the district's authorizing statute to kind of allow for more long-term debt. There's a lot of restrictions that this district has that no other transit district has. We're looking for an author in a vehicle. It's an issue that kind of came up late, so we weren't able to go through the normal introduce a new bill in January type process. And right now we're in this time frame where vehicles are still moving, even though they might die. And then once they die, then the author could get amended and move forward with this proposal. That's the avenue we're taking right now. But so right now we've informed the delegation of this interest. and we're looking to secure like an author and a vehicle. So, with that, I think I've covered a lot of different things in very quickly, short amount of time. If you have questions on this or other.
Yeah, so I'll add just a couple of things. So on that last issue, under our current long-term debt authority harkens back to a different era. And so as Steve said, cities, counties, and special districts broadly have the authority to do, long-term debt. We do not. We have very, very limited authority that, among other things, would require that we pay for a special election in the 6 counties that comprise the district and have 2/3 of all the folks that vote in that election approve us issuing long-term debt for seismic retrofit. So that's not workable. So the language we're seeking is rather limited. It would allow us, with this board, to take actions to incur long-term debt using other agencies that have debt processes in place, so we don't have to go and hire a bond counsel and do our own bond indentures. But it would then give us flexibility. So we could then do long-term debt for seismic for, say, hypothetically $100 million. And then we could hypothetically take $100 million from our reserves and use them for a non-seismic purpose. Having debt for seismic is tax deductible. Other types of debt are not tax deductible. So staff and legal counsel in particular, and they brought on outside bond counsel to assist. We spent a lot of time coming up with a proposal that's narrow, that's crafted, but meets what we believe the organization's needs are. So I just wanted to highlight that, and thanks to Steve and Bo at Platinum. They've got it in front of everybody, and I think once we find a vehicle, I think we'll have an opportunity to pursue that. And I did share with the president of ATU Local 1575 the language in the proposal and how we pitched it to the legislature, so he's aware of it also. Then with respect to the 2 bills that we have an opposed position on, for private ambulance companies, the issue there is, as a matter of policy, should public agencies grant toll-free passage to private for-profit corporations? And so that's the policy issue, and that's why staff has taken the position. If you felt that it's okay, I would caution you that's a slippery slope, because what's the next company that comes in? Jennifer likes to say, does that mean Uber and Lyft are going to come next? But I just wanted to say that that's why staff feels strongly that, as a matter of policy, granting toll-free passage to private corporations is different. Now, back in the day when people had toll collectors, if an ambulance was coming down across the bridge with lights on, the toll collector waved them through, because we did not want to slow someone down. So it is a fact that when we had toll collectors, if you had lights on, you did cross our bridge and you did not have to pay a toll, and we didn't worry about it. It was good policy to let people get where they need to go so that, you get to the hospital in time to address it. But that era has changed. You don't slow down driving across our bridge. And so we just feel that opening the door to one small industry then puts us on a slippery slope. And I just wanted to make sure that that was clear. Some of you may be contacted. I know at least one of our board members has been contacted about this issue. So I just wanted to put that out there for all of you. With respect to the other bill, it's put out by one of our sister agencies, the Transportation Corridor Agencies. They want to be a regional hub with other states for toll transactions. And, we wish them all the best in their endeavors. But how it's currently crafted, our litigator, Alex Atencio, who's batting 1,000 in court, she's never lost a case for us, when people sue us on tolling, says this will create new liability. The agency that's advocating it is from Southern California, and one of the lawsuits that Alex fought and won for us and won for BATA, the Southern California agency settled for $250 million, and the agency saying, this language is okay, paid the lion's share of that. So we don't feel that they're someone that we should necessarily follow when it comes to their understanding of PII and how it may set us up for class action lawsuits. So we are working with BATA attorneys and Alex to see if we can come up with something that, meets the needs of this other agency without setting us up for rather expensive litigation. So I just thought I'd give a little more depth just on those 2, because it's rare for us to oppose a bill. And this year currently crafted, we have 2 proposals before you that we're opposing. With respect to the LC Top program going away potentially with the amended proposal from CARB, you have an item later on your agenda today that Alec, has us signing up for $2 million of LC Top money. So what Steve talked about is very real. And later this month, I will be signing on to a letter on behalf of the district pursuant to your delegated authority to me on bills, because it's a proposal that would take money from us, and I brought authority to say if someone's taking money from us that we should oppose it. So just know that we will have our letterhead and signature with several dozen other agencies on a letter going to the head of the California Resources Board.
See, Director Maston, got a question.
I have two questions and a comment. Steve, AB 2372, it's a little unclear. Would a provider have to be in touch with every toll facility to come to an agreement?
Yeah, I have to. This is an area I'm not familiar with, but yes, it does look like that. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me too.
I mean,
and then a comment on that. Seems to me that emergency services is pretty important and is a fairly narrow niche, and could be defensible as far as not opening up the floodgates, potential floodgates. The other question I have is, are we going to be seeking a seat on CTAS?
I was going to have the same question.
Yeah, our planning staff is applying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it open to the public to apply, or is it just transit agencies?
No, there's advocates can also.
Yes, it's not just transit operators. It could be the other advocates that are in the transit field, pedestrian field, bike pedestrian.
I had a question on the bill idea with the issuing of bonds. So currently, can this board is it this board's power to ask for the ability to issue bonds at that 2/3 threshold, or does it have to go to each county?
It would have to go to each county in the jurisdiction, and the voters of each county would have to vote if under current law.
So we could craft something, put it out to all 6 counties to ask them for the ability to issue long-term bonds, and each individually would have to put it on.
And we would have to pay to put it on. So it's not cheap, as many of you know, to run an election. And so current law does harken back to a different era, before we were all alive, basically. And so it's time to update it, and we're asking for very narrow authority that we think shouldn't cause any waves, but would give us the flexibility to address the challenges that we have today. But yeah, under current law, it would take the citizens in the 6 counties would have to vote to say, we'll let Golden Gate borrow money.
I mean, I think if it's a retrofit issue, most people would doing some bond measures.
But the cost of that election it's astronomical. It's a lot of money. So it'd be much cleaner just to seek the same authority that other special districts and cities and counties have, which is that this body could choose to say we can encourage long-term debt for very narrow purposes. So, I think that will allay any concerns that folks may have.
Do any other directors have any other questions or comments on the report? Well, thank you, Steve, for your presentation.
I would like to thank Steve and Bo. We are so well represented in Sacramento. We are very, very fortunate. And we have had tremendous success the last few years, whether it's a Cal OSHA exemption worth hundreds of millions of dollars, getting $149 million from federal pass-through money from the state without legislation. It's just very, very impressive, and I'd be remiss if I did not acknowledge that. All the great things they've done. Because they come to a report twice a year, and it sounds really mundane and straightforward, but the accomplishments that they lead us with are to be commended. So thank you.
Thank you, and while that's to kiss the bridge, it makes it much easier for our job.
Yeah, no, and I would second that. I mean, some of the stuff the meetings that we've engaged in, and the coalition building we've done with you guys up there has been really pretty eye-opening and special. All the different groups. You guys do a good job.
Thank you. And I got away without any governor's race questions.
You're still sitting there.
Enlighten us, exactly. Yeah, tell us who the next governor is. All right. Do we have any questions from the public?
We have no speakers on this item, and we have no public comment on the line.
Okay. So I think that concludes discussions on item 3.
I have a question from the public.
Okay, or do we have any addresses under item 4?
We have no addresses.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We've reached the end of the agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Okay, hearing no objections, this concludes the meeting. The Government Affairs and Public Information Committee, the time is like 9:50.
Oh, hang on 1 second. We might have someone who just spoke up on the public line. Hang on 1 second. Justine, do you have a public commenter that just came up on your line?
Hi. Yes.
I believe I do. Can you just hold on one moment? May I get your name, please?
My name is Lois. You guys changed the time. It used to be 10. Now it's 9:30.
No, this is a GAPI meeting, Lois. This is not the board meeting. The board meeting is at 10 a.m. still.
10 a.m. Okay, I'll come back then.
Are you asking to speak at GAPI this morning on this item?
No, at 10 a.m. If that's
okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right.
Patty, did you have-
We do not have a speaker for GAPI.
Now that we're over, but apropos presentation we just had, I'm sorry I was late. I hate being late, but I got asked to introduce Jared Huffman at our place. He's got an environmental meeting at the dump. So I didn't know what to say. It was last minute. So while driving Anderson Drive, I came up with a song. And I could sing it now if you guys want.
Okay.
You don't want.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, if you sing the song now, it's going to be part of the
It's part of the record.
Wait, we adjourn.
We haven't adjourned yet. Oh, I thought we had adjourned.
Yeah.
Then I'll sing the song.
No.
I would like to submit the song.
I think we should submit the song to the record. No.
And then we were.
Get us out of this. Okay, let's adjourn this meeting.
All right. Thank you.
And the time is 9:55.